Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
I'm absolutely blessed doing what I do, running AmSpirit Business Connections, and really kind of getting into the whole world of networking. I mean, we all rely on it. I mean, if you're honest about it, just think about how you met your spouse, how you get a babysitter, how you picked your plumber, all these things. It all sort of stems back to or points back to networking, and I've really had a great time meeting people out there who've kind of had their own journey. And as I've indicated in past episodes, I'm going to start to bring people on that I know through AmSpirit Business Connections, because a lot of these people are really well connected. They were really well connected before they came to the organization, but there's just some great stories in there. So today I have on here with me Brad Fisher, I've really gotten to know Brad in the last, 5 years, but he's the executive director of the Gahanna Area Chamber of Commerce. But he's where I've gotten to know him is he's the owner of C-Suite's executive offices. And it's basically a shared workspace in Gahanna, Ohio. And he hosts 3 chapters of AmSpirit Business Connections, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're not doing something at 8 o'clock in the morning, there are great chapters there. They are all gold chapters. And just the more I get to know Brad, the more I realize just how entrenched he is in networking. And I thought we could certainly learn a lot from him, and be entertained by him. So Brad, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here on the program, and it's an honor to be with the networking guru, Frank Agin himself.
Yeah, that and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee. Well, I guess start out with your story. I mean, it's, you weren't in high school saying, geez, I want a shared office space,
Right. No. Yeah. I mean, I went to college thinking I was going to be a veterinarian, and I started taking biology classes, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to make it through this. So I switched my major to business, and I was always really fascinated with, financial things and investments and whatnot. So I kind of went down that path. So my career actually started out of college in the investment world. Started off with Edward Jones. Most people have heard of Edward Jones, and I was there for about 2 or 3 years. But being the entrepreneurial spirit that I am, I thought, I think I want to start my own business. And 20 years ago, I started Fisher Wealth Management, and I ran that business for about 15 years. And it was fine up until 2008 and 2009, when the big real estate crash happened and things got real tough. I also owned a coffee shop. You're going to see a theme in this talk. I owned a lot of businesses, but I also owned a coffee shop at the time, because I thought that would be fun. And the worlds collided, and I found myself in a pretty tough spot, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about, the power of networking and just meeting people. During that time, I was also I was part of the Young Professionals of Columbus. I was on the board of that organization. I was on the board of a group called the Young Executive Club down at the Capitol Club, which is this fancy place down in the downtown area. So I was just doing a lot of networking in my early 20s. Troubling times hit, and the economy crashed, and I found myself in a real tough financial position. And so I'll try to be brief with the story, but it's really a cool story. I had a guy reach out to me on LinkedIn, okay, and now keep in mind this was like 15 years ago, and so this is like when LinkedIn was relatively new, right? We were just trying to figure it out. Lewis Howes, who I know he had just written his book on LinkedIn, and a guy reached out to me, and he was from Russia, and he said, "Hey, I'm moving to Columbus, and it seems like you're pretty well connected. Could we have lunch?" I said, "Sure." His name was Michael. We had lunch. nothing really came of it. I mean, I gave him a few connections and because he was trying to grow a real estate business in the area. And that was that. Well, I find myself 3 years later in this predicament where my whole world was crashing. Okay, I
Hmm.
was about to lose my coffee shop. My financial firm was not doing well. I was effectively bankrupt. Okay,
Right.
and I'm standing in line at a Panera. Okay, and I hear this Russian guy talking about three people in front of me in line, and I kind of look down the line, and I'm like, I think that's that Michael guy.
Hmm.
You know? And so I said, "Hey, Michael," and he turned around and I said, "Sure enough, Michael." I'm like, "Do you remember me, Brad?" He's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, how are you doing?" And I was honest with him. I said, "I'm not doing well, to be honest with you. I'm about to lose my house and I'm about to file bankruptcy and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm married, I've got three kids." And he looked at me and he said, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "The way you helped me out," he goes, "I'm going to help you out. I've got a house in Gahanna
Okay.
I had never lived in before. We were in Reynoldsburg at the time, which is just, a few miles away. And he said, I got a house, I got a renter that wants out, but I told him they can't get out unless somebody rents it. And I said, Are you sure you want to rent a house to a guy like me? I just told you I'm in financial straits.
Yeah.
And he said, 100%, I will rent that house to you. That's what brought me to Gahanna.
Oh, okay. Wow. That is a great story.
Yep. And so, the rest is history, as they say. I came to Gahanna and still had the financial firm that was able to survive that financial crisis. And so I got an office here at C Suites. I wasn't the owner. I just rented an office from C Suites. And again, fast forward, I ended up buying C-Suites. I sold my financial firm. I connected with people in the city, became the executive director of the Gahanna Chamber, and now I have a prominence here in my town, all thanks to the random Russian guy that reached out to me on LinkedIn, who I agreed to meet with. So I guess that's my first lesson today is don't be afraid to meet with somebody,
Yeah.
even if there's no benefit to you personally, because it meant a lot to me.
Well, it's had a ripple effect in Gahanna. I mean, you do a great job with the chamber.
Thank you.
You certainly do a great job with C-suites. You certainly do a great job within AmSpirit, and it's just think of all the people you're touching,
Oh
right? I
yeah.
mean,
Yep.
I think that's awesome. At what point did you realize this networking thing? I mean, you were doing a lot of it, but was there ever for me, it was, and maybe this is your story. For me, it was just kind of stumbling on it, right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's like, oh, putting worms on hooks works,
Right.
there's something to this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I'll tell you another story. When I was a financial advisor, and if anybody on the show is a financial advisor and is listening to this, one of the best marketing plans that I ever had was I would give books to prospects,
Hmm.
like just financial informational books, and I would highlight certain pages and say, hey, I thought of you. I think you'd appreciate this book. Read the pages that I've highlighted. And I would hand these things out like candy at networking events. So again, back when I was a young professional, it would be at
Right.
those events or chamber events, those types of things. And it hit me when after about 2 years of giving those books out, somebody called me and they said, "You gave me this book about 2 years ago, and I finally read it. And now I want to start doing some investing." And I thought I didn't even remember who the guy was.
Wow.
But but I met him at an event and I gave him a book, which is an expensive business card, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that was of course back when people were actually reading real physical books. Now everything is Audible and whatever else. But that's when it kind of hit me, I think, that when you meet somebody and you shake a hand and if you have a chance to impact them in some way. Not necessarily, I mean, obviously I'm trying to get business. So I was giving a book and it's self-serving because I want you to read the book and realize, hey, you need a financial advisor. But you know, uh, yeah, I just thought, man, the
Well,
more you reach out, go
yeah,
ahead.
but my, what isn't self-serving,
Right, right.
right? I
Yeah,
mean, I think everything we do, holding the door for someone is okay. It's not self-serving, but we do want to we do want to brand ourselves as being decent people.
Right.
Why?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you never know, right? You
Right.
never
Right.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I mean, if you want to go under the cloak of darkness and wash people's cars or do something like that where people would never ever know that Brad
Right.
Fisher or Frank Agin did something,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think then that's, but I think handing up, I just think that's smart. I just think that's smart behavior,
Hmm.
um, to try and build a business. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't do it.
Sure. Yep.
I mean, it's that simple, but a lot of people don't do that. And
Yeah.
before we hit record, you're talking about all the emails you get and all
Yeah.
the emails I get of all the people who are going to change my life.
Right.
And they've got the secret,
Yep.
whatever, with their, this is going to sound bad, but with their Gmail email address, it's like,
Yes.
you know, um, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some great stories. So you rented this house here in Gahanna. Did you ultimately buy that house or?
So we ended up buying the house probably about 2 years after renting it.
Okay.
And then my wife's best friend was living in a neighborhood just a couple miles away, still in Gahanna, and found a house, or actually it was her backyard neighbor was trying to sell the house, and they ended up going into foreclosure. Okay.
Oh,
I happened to know the owner of the house that was they were about to lose their house, and I had been through foreclosure. Okay.
yeah,
I knew the experience, but I didn't want to necessarily go to the sheriff's sale and buy a house I had never seen. So
yeah,
I reached out to that homeowner and I said, hey, I know you're going through a really tough time. I understand because I've gone through it. And you are going to be fine on the other end. I'm very interested in buying this for my family. I'd like to get that house, filled with a family again. And would you be willing to give me a walkthrough? And she said yes. So now I probably shouldn't say that publicly, although it's been, 8 years now, because you're not supposed to technically be able to walk through a house when you do a a sheriff's sale. But she said, "Yeah, come on in, I'll give you a tour." And
but
the house,
you're working your network though,
that's
right? I mean,
right.
it's,
Exactly.
I
Yep.
don't think I wouldn't worry about whoever Donald Trump might send out or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the attorney, I don't see anything wrong with that. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
these things are happening all the time.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah.
mind, it's working your network, utilizing
Right.
your network.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And but yeah, so to finish that story and then to add another networking component to that, I looked at the house. It was in great shape, good bones. And they were just in a really tough spot. I think it was still a result of the 2008, 2009
Yeah,
crisis. They never recovered, even after like 10 years, they didn't recover. But anyway, I saw the posting on the sheriff's sale. So what did I do? I called somebody that I knew in real estate. And I said, "Hey, I've never done this before, and I don't want to go do this by myself. Will you come hold my hand?"
right.
And so this guy came and he said, "Here's what you're going to do." And he walked me through it. And I went to the sheriff's sale and we got the house, And so probably wouldn't have even done it if I didn't have a connection to a solid real estate agent who had been to many sheriff sales in his time.
Right.
And so, yeah, just another testament to, having a network and utilizing your network, and never burn a bridge, never burn a bridge.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of themes here. One of the themes I see is you have a wonderful ability to ask,
Hmm.
um, and just ask. You
Yep.
know,
Never hurts.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
The way I describe it to people, Frank, is if you ask the question and they say no, you are in the exact same position that you were before.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, why not ask? Maybe your feelings will be hurt a little bit, but just
They'll
ask.
they'll recover.
They'll
They,
recover. You'll
yeah.
recover. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could, and I need to do a better job of that. But you go ahead and you ask, and they may say no. And I find that a lot of times no is just not now,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yep. Not right now. Yep.
Yeah. like
Yep.
the house you talked about. And now I don't want to have you walk through, right? And
Yeah.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden things get a little tighter, and then, well, here's my number. Reach out if you
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to change on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yep. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come for tours of C-suites, 5, 6, 7 times. Okay. Now a lot of people would say, "Oh, they're just blowing smoke. They don't know what they want." I
Kicking
give them
tires.
I give them the time of day every time they come, and I give them the same tour. And when they rent an office, they get to experience C-suites, which I know you get to experience because you
Yeah,
are here regularly with the AmSpirit group. But yeah, I mean, it's some people get annoyed by that kind of stuff, but you just, you know, unless somebody's out there really hurting you, even intentionally, sometimes you got to put boundaries up. You got to say no to, people that are, truly self-serving.
yeah,
Uh, but by and large, if you just say, yeah, I'll give you some time, it's going to benefit you in the long run.
yeah. Um, Now I see this other theme here with, C suites is C suites. How many tenants do you have there? 50, you said?
So I've got 45 offices up on the
Okay.
floor. It's about 13,000 square feet. So that equates to about 40 different businesses that are
Okay.
on in my, that I'm essentially the landlord for.
Okay. And then you have virtual tenants as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yep. We've got virtual tenants where they can just rent conference rooms and like hourly offices, just as needed, essentially. But yeah, for the permanent tenants, there's probably about 40.
Okay. I mean, I see a theme there. I mean, it's you built a network. I mean, it's not an
Yeah.
AmSpirit network, but it's a network.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Uh, um, and then there's the chamber,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
absolutely is a network. When people think networking, they think of chambers. I guess.
Absolutely.
How did you get into the chamber? Or, I can see how you got into the chamber, but um, how did that slippery slope become you becoming essentially the executive director?
Executive director. Yeah. That's a fun story. So again, I purchased this C-Suites executive offices in late 2017. And one of the tenants of this business is the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Now, I already knew that because I was renting an office as a financial advisor, but I was on the board, okay, of the chamber at that time. And lo and behold, around about 2020, uh, the previous executive director, who had been the executive director for 20 years, was ready to retire, and we did not have anybody that was ready to take over, the position. And I told the board, I said, guys, listen, I said, if you think we can do, just an interim executive director position, maybe for 3 to 6 months, I'm right here. I'm like literally coming to this place every day. I can just be the executive director, temporarily until we find somebody. And they said that would be great. So I got my little part-time salary and they said, okay, let's do it. And I tried to take over things. And well, as it turns out, I kind of enjoyed it. And
Okay.
so when the time came, I said, you know what, guys, I think I'd like to go ahead and continue with this if you guys will have me. And they said, no, you're doing a great job. And so, yeah, I've now been the executive director for coming on just about 6 years.
Okay. Wow. And
Yep.
and again, you're like the mayor, right? You're like the unelected mayor. You have no term limit,
Right.
other than what God will grant you. But
That's right. Yep. Yep.
I assume that's been fruitful for you. They're not. Well, I I assume they're not paying you a king's ransom, right?
Right, right. Yeah, it is a nonprofit. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been fruitful. I mean, it is a paid position, so that is nice. But I think the fruit from that, if you want to talk about, the fruitfulness of it, Frank, is just the incredible connections that I have made within the business community and the city itself. I mean, I am regularly attending meetings with the actual mayor,
Right.
and city council and the development office and business owners. And so my reach is just has become so expansive. I used to be so good at remembering people's names and faces, and I could tell you where I met you and when and what it was about. And now I meet so many people every week that, and maybe it's part of getting older, I don't know, but I can't keep track of all of the people that are in my life, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
Well, in fact, I did a whole episode on that, or I talked about it at one point. It does have everything to do with age, but
yeah,
but it doesn't have to do with memory. It has to do
right,
with
yeah,
age because of all the people you know. And I've
right,
always told people, it's like when you're in high school, there's six guys that you know really well, right?
right,
They're
yeah,
your buds, and
yeah,
and those you don't need to know the guys in the band or whatever who aren't in your sphere. You just need
yeah,
to know
yeah,
your
yeah,
six people. But then when you go off to college and you're in a fraternity and it's 60, right? And then you
yeah,
go off to
yeah,
work in the working world, it's 600 at
yeah,
some point. So you
yeah,
just get old, you just keep accumulating people, and the other ones don't wash out of your memory. It's just
yeah.
keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten to the point, Frank, where I've had to use a line, when I reintroduce myself to somebody because, they know who I am, but I
yeah,
don't remember meeting them. You've been in that situation, I'm sure.
yeah,
I always apologize and say, I'm so sorry. There are so many wonderful people in this community. It's just hard to keep track of all of them. It's so good to see you again.
yeah. There you go.
So you got
Well,
to do
I think
it.
I think that's smart. That's a great approach. And it's so much better than faking it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
and when that's people
Yeah.
when they just double down on calling you buddy.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
buddy.
Oh,
Oh, come
listen,
on.
that
Come
is one of
on.
my biggest pet peeves is when
Yeah.
I meet somebody and then the next time I talk to them, like, hey, buddy. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, no, we are not buddies. If you
Yeah.
haven't been on my boat and we haven't been fishing, you're not my buddy.
Yeah. There you go. Um, well, what's next? What's next for you? Do you know?
Well, I mean, I've got other irons in the fire with other businesses. So I think you know about the printing business. I've got a
Yeah.
wall printer. So we're working to expand that. I've got another business that I'm only a silent shareholder in, but there's talk of acquisition of that, and so I'm kind of focused on that. But really the bottom line is I love C-suite's executive offices. I want to get that business, I mean, it's already doing well. I just want to get my last few offices rented. I always like to try to maximize, any business. And, other than that, just I got 5 kids, Frank, so it's a lot of soccer games and
Yeah.
orchestra concerts and all the things,
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I will tell you, I've got 3 kids and they're all out of high school, out of college. They're all out there working.
yeah,
Um, it doesn't slow down.
yeah,
It doesn't slow down. It's just,
yeah,
there's just, and none
yeah,
of mine are married yet, and so
yeah.
that's going to be a whole nother layer of,
Oh yeah.
grandkids and whatnot, but it doesn't slow down, which is
Yep.
probably good, right? I
Yep.
think that
Yep.
keeps us young,
Yeah, that's right.
uh,
Yeah. Yep.
keeps us
Yep.
young, keeps us
Yep.
involved, and I think
Better,
that's,
better to be busy than bored.
yeah, well, I think it keeps you engaged. I think it keeps your mind healthy. And
Yeah.
these
Yep.
are all speculation, but I just, um, my father's 90 some years old now, 90, he'll be 92.
Yeah.
And he retired when he was 58. And,
Yeah.
it's
That's
just,
crazy.
yeah,
It's a whole
uh,
nother life. It's a whole
it
nother
is.
life from
It,
retirement on. Yeah.
yeah, it is. I don't know what I would do. I really don't
Hmm.
know what I would do.
Yep.
Um, Best way to get a hold of you, can I put csuitesoffices.com in the show notes and
Yeah,
people can
that's fine. Yep.
find the phone number there and
Yeah.
call
Yep.
you?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can put the Gehanna Chamber website as well.
Okay.
So Gehanna, that's just gehannachamber.org. So you can put that in there. Yeah, there are contact things and phone numbers. The best way to get a hold of me is via phone number. I get so many emails and it's tough for me to keep up sometimes. So yeah, give me a call.
Yeah. If you are in Gahanna or anywhere in this area, Brad, somebody you need to know. I share this story all the time. I was talking to somebody and they were like, you should meet Brad Fisher. Why would I want to meet him? It's like, oh my God, and he's not going to be a client for me, was kind of the vibe, right? What am I
Yeah,
going to get out of him? It's like, you know what? He just knows tons of people.
Yeah.
right? What else do you need he knows tons of people, and he knows other people who know tons of people. So anyhow, I really appreciate your time today. Thank
Oh,
you.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm trying to do you remember how we first met, or who it was that introduced us? Because I think it was when we were starting our Apex chapter. That was the first time I think you came to C-suites.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was even Tom Anderson. I don't even know.
Well, I think our paths had crossed somewhere along the way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've known you. I mean, we've
Known of
met
each other. Yeah.
in a previous life. In fact, I was part of an NPI group back when
Yeah.
Dean Curry was running that before you ended up,
Yeah.
rebranding it to AmSpirit. So yeah, I guess I mean we've probably shook hands sometime, probably more than once in the last
Yeah.
20 years, but until we've got 3 gold chapters here at C-Suites, now we're like besties.
Yeah. Oh no, it's great. It's great. I look forward to seeing you every week. This is
Yeah.
as often as I get over there. So
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
so
Fantastic. Well, hey, thanks for having me on the podcast. And if there's anything else I can do for you or anybody else out there that's listening, feel free to give me a call.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.